Well, hey everybody, it's Teepa, and today I have a guest, and this is a special guest. Um, and the question we were talking about is, so how do you teach yoga to somebody with significant brain change like dementia or head injury or autism? How do you teach them yoga? And that's like, actually, what do you think, Stacy? So this is Stacy Wyatt. Stacy, yeah, tell us about that.
Well, I think there's such a misconception when we hear the word yoga that it's going to be on the floor. It's going to be putting our bodies into these pretzel shapes. You have to have a certain body type to do it. And that's just false, in my opinion. And I think that what we have to remember that the essence of yoga, the definition broken down into the word yoga is union, which means to yoke and bring together. So when we think of somebody with significant changes, whether they're born with significant changes with a developmental disability or a physical disability, or it happens later in life, the same principles apply to how do I union this individual with themselves first, get them to understand where they are in space. And then how can I get that union to happen between perhaps me and that individual or the other people that are living in that home? And that's when the magic happens. So when I enter into a home, and it's usually an assisted living style group home where anywhere from 6 to 8 people might be living, 24/7 support, I ring the doorbell, and that's when these four things start. And those four things are: community is always the first thing, community and connection. So I make a point of shaking their hands, looking in their eyes, complimenting them, asking them if they like my shirt. I tend to wear very bright colored things so that I can say, what do you think about this color today? And I'm pulling them out of their cocoon to engage with me. If I have somebody that is having trouble with their language, or they're like, I don't want to do this, this is a new person, I'll get as close as I can without kissing them and say, I need to see what color your eyes are. And then all of a sudden we're eye to eye and the connection is made. So connection, community is so important. I always teach in a circle. I am not the boss. I am not the teacher. We are a group of people coming together to share an experience. So always in a circle, community and connection. And then my second thing that I try to emphasize is breathing. And instead of coming into a traditional yoga class and saying, I'm going to teach you such and such pranayama, I say, can you put your hand on your belly for me and take a big breath and let's blow out a candle? We've all done it. All of a sudden, we're breathing. The nervous system is calming down. The entry point has been made because we've talked about what color my eyes are. I've got their nervous systems to be prime. And then I bring in movement. And that movement is not Sanskrit spoken Virabhadrasana 2. It is, hey, I'm making a cake this weekend and I don't know how to do it. Can we do it together? Let's start stirring a cake. I don't know what goes in a cake. Well, for individuals who are living with memory issues, they've made cakes for decades. And so I'm pulling something that they know, and I'm getting the whole group to respond to flour, butter, sugar, eggs, and chocolate. And then we do frosting, and then we do both. And what's happening in the brain space is that those neurons are firing and they're making the hemispheres like unite again in union. It's playful. It's something that we've all experienced. We all want to eat the cake. So we pick apples for pies. We roll out pie dough. For gentlemen who maybe are in the older population who have not cooked, we do football poses: touchdown, field goal, safety, false start. I had to do some learning of football moves, but I bring that sense of, it's not something that's foreign, but it's real and we've done it before. And then the fourth component to my class is we always finished with gratitude. And for people who maybe have suffered a traumatic brain injury and they had a great life like you and I, and in an instant that life is different, it's really hard to find gratitude. So we pull in the five senses. What have we seen today that's beautiful, or heard, or tasted, or touched, or smelled? And then all of a sudden, the disability goes away and the present moment is where we're at. So those four components look very different than a studio class. But I still, when my people come into this space, typical people for a class, they still get those 4 components. So it's universal. And I think many times we hear the word yoga and we say, I can't do that. I can't touch my toes. I can't, I'm in a wheelchair. I'm paralyzed. I'm on a trig. I don't remember my name. And if you peel it down into those 4 components of breathing, moving, connecting, and being thankful, anybody can do that. Even if the movement is very limited, if with permission, I'm happy to move somebody's arm and get a stretch and get that sensation in. So that's how I roll. That's what my yoga looks like in group homes and assisted livings. And it's magic. And the people who initially say, oh, I'm not doing that, within minutes, they're doing it and they don't even know it. Sometimes we go fishing.
Yep.
The non-football fans. I mean, anything can become movement, right? It doesn't have to be a sequence. And I'm trying really hard to rally some yoga teachers to just tag along and see this, because every community across this globe has people living with brain changes, and everybody needs to have connection. Everybody
Yeah.
does. And a lot of times my yoga is just holding somebody's hand or rubbing their feet, and that's union, and that's where it's at. So that's my thing.
I love it. So when you talk about connection, I think all too often when people are living with the brain change that they're living with, they feel disconnected. They often get disconnected. And so when you enter a home, whether the home is an assisted living or someone's home, by having whoever's there participate, sometimes children, adults, older, younger, in, out, all of a sudden, when we come together in that community, then we can really start to appreciate that which we have in common, that which we can share. And then all of a sudden, you're right, there is gratitude. You know, the fact that even though I can't do what I used to be able to do, there are things I can do. And one of them is I know how to stir the cake. You know, I know what goes into the cake. I know when you say, let's see, there's the white stuff that if you do it too fast, it ends up all over the place.
Yeah.
Oh, for the frosting, not for the cake, for the frosting. It's the white stuff that goes everywhere if you turn the beater on too fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that the
And then
powdered
all of a sudden, somebody, Aunt Sally over here says powdered sugar, and then everybody
sugar.
cheers, and it's an exciting moment. And we talk about what flavor, and then somebody's birthday comes up, and it's just a sense of like, I don't see it as like, oh, we're just hanging out and we're talking about cake, and who doesn't love cake? And it's just, it brings joy to them because there's success in remembering that powdered sugar, or that I've done this before, or tell me what color apple we pick for the pie, like green or red. And then we take a poll, and there's conversation that comes that for most of the time when I enter into these homes, they're sitting in recliners with their little throw, watching, Price is Right or whatever. And there's not a reciprocal engagement. And it's not that the staff are bad people. They're just trying to take care of daily living.
Lots of folks, yeah.
I think our system as a whole has lost the sense of touch. And so I'm very hands-on, even if I just hold somebody's hand for a moment, and that in its essence lowers the nervous system's response of panic. And a lot of these people are living in panic because they're confused or they're grieving. And what are we doing with
How
that?
I got here. Yeah.
I love to bring aromatherapy in, and can you tell me what this smells like? Because I can't quite remember. And they're like, oh, it's an orange. Perfect. There it
You
is.
got it. Yeah. Boy, did you bring back a memory for me. It was one of the first. I moved away from reality orientation, which they told us we were supposed to be doing on the board regularly. And instead, I brought an orange in and started on peeling it. And at least 3 different people on the unit went, who's got an orange in here? It was like, how you do? Come over, check it out. And I got people to come to the space that otherwise wouldn't have come to the space. And so the work you're doing is opening windows and opening doors for connections. And you're encouraging other people who get yoga to remember the value and meaning of yoga beyond the studio and the poses. And that by making these connections and drawing us into union, there are so many opportunities for all of us to grow and change and become community. So we love that. And that's
I
why
love
we
it too. And I love that staff, when I ring the doorbell and, hi, I'm Stacy, the fun yoga lady. And they're like, oh, they're not going to do yoga.
Yeah.
And just give me 5 minutes. And so staff has come around too, and they're like, whoa, there's so much in this individual that I didn't even know existed. And so their buy-in is good. Family members who drop by are amazed. And in a lot of the agencies I work in, they do videos. Staff will video the family member, and then the family people, the members of the family of the individual, get these
Oh,
videos.
yeah.
And I'm like,
This.
this is
She's still
amazing. And then they can talk about it. And it just, the ripple effect is endless, really, between staff, family, the individual, even the plumber that might be there is like, whoa.
You never know. You never know is my rule. You never know where that union happens. Now, Stacy, one quick question before we leave. How did you get where you are right now? Because I know how I got where I am. How did you get there?
Well,
That's
I was
quite a journey.
gifted with an amazing daughter born with multiple disabilities that was not really discovered until she was about 3. And it set me on a path. First 10 years of that experience was pretty grueling. I was very, very angry. It was not the life I wanted. It wasn't even the child I wanted. I was really young, really struggling. Marriage was falling apart. And so I found yoga for myself. And then I thought, wow, if I love this, she'll love it and we'll do it together. Well, that didn't happen. But my training, the foundation of my training is bringing yoga to people with different learning styles. And it just grew into so much. And I do teach to typical people, about 1%, but the majority of my students are people with different learning styles, whatever that might be. If it's born that way or later in life, there is an event or a diagnosis. And so she really is what I say is the person that opened the door for me. It just took a little bit of time for me to say, I gotcha. And once I said yes to her as she is, my whole life changed. My anger dissipated, my sense of purpose ignited. And now she'll be 30 in just a couple weeks. And in the totality, it's been the greatest 30 years of my life because it helped me figure out who I am. And now I get to share that.
So a new kind of, for us, another legacy project.
Yes.
You created a legacy project. And I would say she is more than you thought she ever would be because of what she's done for you, with you, and through you.
And the lives that I've been able to touch because I said yes to her instead of resisting. And I just think she's that stone that gets tossed in the lake that has the ripple effect that's endless. It's not me. I mean, I'm just the conduit for the gift I was given.
So I'm called Teepa because of a little boy named Michael who had autism and a speech problem and couldn't say Teena. And from that came the name that a lot of people recognize. But
I love it.
It's a given name.
Yeah.
I was gifted that name after a lot of hard summers.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So, Stacy, thank you for what you do. Thanks for opening that door. And for other folks out there, if you've ever considered, I teach yoga, I wonder, get up with Stacy. She'll help, I know, put you on a journey that gets you going, get you more comfortable. If you're out there and you're thinking, I think I need this in my world, in my life, reach out to Stacy or check out what's local. But for sure, don't sit there and be in need and not seek union, because it is possible. All things are possible when we believe that all things are possible. Yeah. So thanks, Stacy. Okay, everybody, take care with your care. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you.